Captain Samantha Wright stood at the bridge of the exploration vessel Horizon, her eyes fixed on the massive structure floating in space. After decades of searching the stars, humanity had finally found what they were looking for, proof they were not alone. "My God," she whispered, "it's beautiful." The alien station stretched before them, a spinning ring of metal and light that dwarfed their ship. Hundreds of vessels of different shapes and sizes moved around it like bees around a hive. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission," said Lieutenant Frank Nelson, his fingers moving quickly across the control panel. "They're using our communication protocols. Somehow they've learned our language." Samantha took a deep breath. "Put it through." The screen flickered to life, showing a creature with 4 arms and smooth blue skin. Its large eyes blinked slowly as it studied them. "Greetings, humans of Earth," it said in perfect English. "I am Liaison Kelfar of the Galactic Council. We have been observing your species for some time. The Council extends an invitation to your diplomatic team to visit our headquarters." Back on Earth, Admiral John Miller received the transmission in the Underground Command Center of Earth Defense Force. His weathered face showed no emotion, but his mind raced with both hope and worry. "They knew exactly where to find us," he said to his second-in-command, Lisa Reeves. "They've been watching us." "Is that bad, sir?" Lisa asked. John frowned. "Not necessarily. But in my experience, when someone knows more about you than you know about them, it rarely works in your favor." Despite his concerns, Earth could not pass up this opportunity. Within 24 hours, a diplomatic team was assembled. Dr. Alan Carter, the leading xenobiologist who had spent his life preparing for this moment. Natalie Porter, the linguistic specialist who had mastered 12 Earth languages and hoped alien ones would follow. And Commander Eric Bailey, former Special Forces and head of security for the mission. "Your job is simple," Admiral Miller told them during their final briefing. "Represent humanity, learn everything you can about this council, and secure our place among the stars. But remember, we know nothing about their intentions." When the Horizon docked at the massive station 3 days later, Captain Wright led her team through the airlock. The gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth's, and the air carried strange, spicy scents. They were met by a tall, insect-like creature with gleaming exoskeleton and compound eyes that reflected their own images back at them. "I am Ambassador Zexlor of the Veldari Dominion." It clicked in heavily accented English. "Follow me to your quarters. The council will convene in 6 hours." As they walked through the station's wide corridors, the humans noticed many different alien species. Some looked almost like walking plants, others like giant floating jellyfish. All stopped to stare at the humans. "They seem very interested in us," Natalie whispered. "Yes," Zexlor replied, overhearing with surprising ease. "Many have wagered on your physical capabilities. The Veldari are particularly interested in your military potential." Commander Bailey exchanged a concerned glance with Captain Wright. This didn't sound like a simple welcome. The council chamber itself was enormous, with 17 raised platforms arranged in a semicircle. Each held representatives of different species. The humans stood on a small platform in the center, feeling very exposed. A massive reptilian creature with gleaming scales and an elaborate headdress rose from the central platform. The entire chamber fell silent. "Welcome to the Galactic Council," it announced, its voice deep and resonant. "I am High Chancellor Voxtol. We have been observing your species for some time." The Chancellor's eyes narrowed as they studied the humans. "And we believe you are ready for evaluation." Dr. Carter leaned close to Captain Wright. "Evaluation. That wasn't mentioned in the invitation." Samantha nodded slightly, keeping her expression neutral despite the sinking feeling in her stomach. They hadn't come to meet new friends. They had walked into a test. And somehow, she knew that failing was not an option. Captain Samantha Wright and her team stood before the Galactic Council, feeling the weight of 17 alien species stares. The grand chamber hummed with whispers in languages no human had ever heard before. High Chancellor Voxtol raised a clawed hand, and silence fell immediately. "This is not a welcome ceremony," the reptilian leader announced. "This is a formal evaluation of humanity's status within galactic civilization." Large screens appeared around the chamber, showing images of Earth, wars, natural disasters, humans surviving in extreme environments, and technological advancements that had occurred at a pace that seemed to concern the council members. "Your species," continued Voxtol, "has been classified as dangerously unpredictable and evolutionarily unstable." Ambassador Zexlor stepped forward, mandibles clicking as he spoke. "Allow me to explain. Every council race evolved in environments with limited predation and natural disasters. Our development was orderly. The insectoid alien touched a control, and new images appeared. Humans running marathons, climbing mountains, diving into ocean depths. Humans," Zexlor continued, "developed on what we classify as a death world. Your planet has extreme temperature variations, high gravity, deadly predators, and constant natural disasters. You did not simply survive this environment. You conquered it." Dr. Alan Carter listened carefully, his scientific mind beginning to understand the situation. This wasn't just politics. It was biology. "You possess traits no civilized species should have," Zexlor explained. "You can chase prey until it collapses from exhaustion. You heal from injuries that would kill most species. You thrive in radiation zones that would sterilize other worlds. Most concerning, you form pack bonds and cooperate in ways that amplify these dangerous traits." Commander Eric Bailey shifted his weight, noticing how several council security guards tensed at his movement. They were afraid of him, he realized. Voxtol leaned forward. "The council has reached a preliminary decision. Earth will be classified as a managed world, with restrictions on your territory, military development, and population growth. This is for the safety of the galactic community." "And if we refuse?" Captain Wright asked calmly. The temperature in the room seemed to drop. "Then containment measures will be implemented," Voxtol said. "Your solar system will be isolated by a quarantine field. Any vessel attempting to leave would be neutralized." Natalie Porter, who had been studying the alien body language, whispered to Captain Wright, "They're bluffing. At least partially. Look at their posture." Dr. Carter leaned close to the captain as well. "They're afraid of us. Not what we've done, but what we might become." "We request time to consult with our government," Samantha said firmly. "You have 48 Earth hours," Voxtol replied. Back in their quarters, the team immediately sent an encrypted message to Earth. Admiral Miller received it while eating his dinner, which he promptly abandoned. "Get me the Security Council," he ordered Lisa. "Everyone. Now." Within an hour, world leaders gathered virtually to hear the situation. "They've miscalculated," Admiral Miller said after explaining the Council's ultimatum. "They think intimidation will work because it's worked on every other species they've encountered." "What do you suggest?" asked the President. "Something they won't expect from a dangerous predator species," Miller replied. "Strategy, not force. They think they understand human nature, but they've only seen our teeth, not our minds." The Security Council debated briefly before reaching unanimous agreement. On the station, Captain Wright received new orders and smiled slightly. The humans spent the rest of the day studying everything they could about the council races. "Did you notice?" Dr. Carter said as they prepared for bed. "Almost none of them are predator species. They evolved as prey animals. Which means," Commander Bailey added, "they have flight instincts, not fight instincts." Natalie looked up from the data she was reviewing. "Their psychology is fundamentally different from ours. They expect us to either submit or attack. They have no framework for what we're about to do." Captain Wright nodded. "Get some rest. Tomorrow, we show them what humans are really capable of." As she turned off the lights, Samantha wondered if the council truly understood what happened when humans felt cornered. They were about to find out. Commander Eric Bailey walked through the lower levels of the council station, areas not typically shown to visitors. He wore a simple uniform without rank insignia, allowing him to blend in with the station's maintenance crews. He had noticed something odd about the Council's military displays. Their weapons looked impressive, but lacked the wear of actual use. Their soldiers stood in perfect formations, but moved with the stiffness of troops who had never seen real combat. "Excuse me," a soft voice called from a side corridor. Eric turned to see a small alien with pale green skin and large eyes. The creature wore the simple clothes of a service worker. "You are human, yes?" the alien asked nervously. "I am Tilly, of the Miran people." "Yes, I'm human," Eric replied carefully. "Is there something you need?" Tilly looked around to make sure they were alone. "My people wish to speak with yours. In private. We are what the Council calls a managed world, like what they planned for your Earth." Meanwhile, in another part of the station, Natalie Porter was making her own discoveries. She had arranged a cultural exchange with representatives from several species, supposedly to learn their languages. In reality, she was gathering intelligence. The Miran representative, an elder named Joel, was particularly forthcoming after Natalie shared stories of Earth's history. "The Council operates on fear," Joel explained quietly. "The founding species evolved as prey, not predators. They believe the only way to survive is to control anything they fear." "And they fear humans?" Natalie asked. "Deeply," Joel nodded. "Your adaptability terrifies them. Most Council species need specific environments to survive. Humans thrive almost anywhere." Back in their quarters, Dr. Alan Carter was studying the biological data they had been given access to. Captain Wright entered to find him surrounded by holographic displays of alien physiologies. "I've made a breakthrough," Carter said excitedly. "Look at their nervous systems. Council species have highly developed threat response systems, what we would call fight or flight. But for them, it's almost entirely flight. They literally can't understand how humans think." Captain Wright sat down, processing this information. "So when they see us not backing down from their threats, it confuses them completely," Carter finished. "It's like watching prey animals try to understand a wolf." That evening, the human team gathered to share their findings. Commander Bailey reported on his meeting with Tilly and the strange inconsistencies he had observed in the Council's military. "Their weapons are mainly for show," he explained. "I don't think they fought a real war in generations. Their ships are impressive, but their tactics are by the book. No adaptability." Natalie added what she had learned from Joel. "The trial tomorrow is just a formality. They've already decided to classify Earth as a managed world. No species has ever successfully challenged this designation. Because no species has ever been like us," Captain Wright said thoughtfully. "The Council expects us to either submit or attack. Those are the only responses they understand." "So what do we do?" asked Bailey. Samantha smiled. "We show them something they've never seen before." She activated her communication device. "I need to speak with Admiral Miller immediately." The next morning, as the Council prepared to deliver their final judgment, Captain Wright requested an unexpected change to the proceedings. "Before you render your decision," she addressed the Council formally, "we request the right to demonstrate human capabilities. You have judged us without truly understanding us." Murmurs spread through the chamber. This was not part of the usual protocol. "What sort of demonstration?" High Chancellor Vox Tool asked suspiciously. "Not weapons," Samantha assured him. "Something more important. We wish to show you who humans really are." The Council members exchanged glances. Finally, Vox Tool nodded. "Very well. The Council grants this unusual request. Tomorrow, you may present your demonstration." As the humans left the chamber, Ambassador Zexlor approached them. "This delay changes nothing," the Veldari hissed. "The decision is already made." "Perhaps," Captain Wright replied calmly. "But after tomorrow, you may wish to reconsider." The demonstration chamber was a massive room with holographic projectors that could create almost any environment. Council members sat in elevated seats surrounding the central area, looking down at the humans like judges at a trial. Representatives from dozens of other species filled the observer galleries, curious about these strange newcomers who had dared to challenge council tradition. Captain Samantha Wright stood in the center, her team beside her. She had spent the night coordinating with Admiral Miller, preparing for this moment. "Honored Council," she began, her voice strong and clear. "You have judged humanity based on incomplete information. Today, we will show you who we truly are." She nodded to Dr. Alan Carter, who stepped forward. "Let me begin with human physiology," he said, activating a holographic display showing the human body. Humans evolved on a planet with high gravity, extreme temperature variations, and numerous predators. But we didn't just survive. We became the apex predators ourselves. The hologram showed early humans hunting on the African savanna. "One of our most unique abilities is this," Carter continued, pointing to the human skin. "We can sweat, allowing us to regulate our body temperature during extended physical activity. On our world, early humans would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion, a technique called persistence hunting." Murmurs spread through the council. The idea of chasing prey to exhaustion rather than ambushing it seemed bizarre to them. "May I demonstrate?" Commander Eric Bailey asked, stepping forward. He removed his jacket, revealing a simple athletic shirt. A holographic environment appeared around him, a hot savanna with tall grass. "Computer, set gravity and temperature to Earth normal," he requested. Bailey began to run at a steady pace. 1 hour passed, then 2. He continued running without stopping, his body covered in sweat, but his breathing controlled. The council members watched in stunned silence. For most of their species, such extended physical effort would be impossible. "This is nothing special for humans," Carter explained. "Many of our people run marathons, races of over 40 kilometers, for enjoyment." Next, Natalie Porter demonstrated human problem-solving. She was presented with puzzles designed for different alien physiologies, a sensory maze for the bat-like Vexari, a chemical puzzle for the insectoid Veldari. Despite not having the specialized senses these species possessed, she found ways to solve each puzzle using human ingenuity. "Humans adapt not just over generations, but within moments," she explained. "We see obstacles as challenges, not barriers." Throughout the demonstrations, Captain Wright observed the council's reactions. Some seemed fascinated, others disturbed, but none could look away. "But our greatest strength," Wright said, stepping forward for the final demonstration, "is not physical. It's our social cooperation." A holographic projector activated again, showing scenes from Earth history, humans building cities, working together during disasters, helping strangers in need. "Humans form bonds beyond blood ties," she explained. "We cooperate across cultures, across differences. We would have preferred alliance to confrontation with the council." She gestured to the gallery where representatives from managed worlds were seated. "We don't seek to dominate. We seek to work together. Predators can also be protectors. On Earth, many of our most loyal companions were once predators themselves, who chose to work with us rather than against us." The room fell silent as her words sank in. Wright could see confusion on many council faces. This was not what they had expected from a dangerous predator species. In the observer gallery, Tilly and other representatives from managed worlds watched with growing hope. The Veldari ambassador Zexlor shifted uncomfortably, mandibles clicking rapidly, a sign of agitation. High Chancellor Voxtol finally broke the silence. "This is unexpected. The council must reconsider its position." As the council members filed out to deliberate, Natalie whispered to Captain Wright, "They don't know what to make of us." "Good," Samantha replied with a small smile. "Confusion is better than fear. It gives us room to negotiate." What none of the humans noticed was Ambassador Zexlor slipping away through a side exit, already formulating a new plan to deal with the human threat. The council chamber erupted into chaos after the human demonstration. Species that had existed in harmony for centuries suddenly found themselves at odds. The Veldari delegation, led by Ambassador Zexlor, pounded their appendages on the table. You cannot seriously be considering changing our stance. Zexlor clicked angrily. These humans are predators. They admitted it themselves. High Chancellor Voxful raised a clawed hand for silence. We must consider all information before making our final decision. From the corner of the chamber, a delegate who had remained silent until now slowly rose. Elder Kier of the Phonary race was ancient even by the standards of his long-lived species. His skin had the pale blue translucence of age, and his movements were careful and deliberate. Perhaps, Elder Kier said in a voice that was surprisingly strong, "It is time for the Council to evolve. Our stagnation is our true threat, not these humans." The chamber fell silent. The Phonary rarely spoke at council meetings, but when they did, everyone listened. "Look at what we have become," Elder Kier continued. "We classify worlds as managed when we should be calling them what they are, subjugated. We fear difference instead of learning from it." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral John Miller was implementing what his team called Protocol Porcupine, a defensive strategy designed to make attacking Earth too costly for any potential aggressor. "Move half the fleet to the outer planets," he ordered. "Hide them in the rings of Saturn and the moons of Jupiter. If the Council decides to attack, I want them to face resistance at every point in the solar system." Lisa Reeves coordinated the evacuation drills for major cities. "We're not expecting an attack," she told city leaders. "But if it comes, we'll be ready." Miller watched the preparations from the window of his office. "They thought they were dealing with sheep," he said quietly. "They're about to learn we're wolves." Back on the council station, Dr. Alan Carter made a discovery that could change everything. He had been studying council biology in more detail and found something fascinating. "Captain," he said excitedly, rushing into Wright's quarters, "I found something about council species' nervous systems. They're hypersensitive to certain frequencies that humans find barely noticeable." "Are you suggesting we use this as a weapon?" Samantha asked cautiously. "Not a lethal one," Carter explained. "But if conflict becomes unavoidable, we could use sound as a non-lethal defense. It would be like an extremely uncomfortable noise to them, something that would make fighting difficult without causing permanent harm." Captain Wright nodded slowly. "Let's hope it doesn't come to that. But prepare the technology just in case." In the council chamber, the debate continued. The scientific-minded Garians argued for further study of humans before making any decision. The militaristic Veldari pushed for immediate containment. "You don't understand what you're dealing with," Zexlor warned. "Predator species cannot be controlled. They must be contained." "Or perhaps," countered a Garian scientist, "we should learn from them. Their adaptability could help us solve problems we've struggled with for generations." As the council argued, Commander Eric Bailey was in a secret meeting with representatives from several managed worlds. They gathered in a maintenance area where council surveillance was minimal. "If the council decides against Earth," Tilly asked nervously, "what will your people do?" "We won't submit," Bailey said simply. "But we also won't destroy. That's not who we are." He looked around at the gathered aliens. "We believe in freedom, for ourselves and for others." The representatives exchanged glances. The concept of resistance was new to many of them. Their species had accepted council management for generations. "Would you help us?" asked another representative, a tall, willowy being with crystalline features. Bailey smiled. "That's what humans do best. We help those who need it." As he left the meeting, Bailey didn't notice the small drone following him, recording everything for Ambassador Zexlor. The Veldari watched the footage with growing alarm. These humans weren't just refusing council authority. They were encouraging rebellion. "The situation is worse than we thought," Zexlor whispered to his aides. "We must act now, before it's too late." Commander Eric Bailey couldn't sleep. Something felt wrong. The council had been debating for 2 days, but no decision had been announced. He decided to take a walk through the quieter parts of the station. As he turned a corner, he noticed 3 Veldari technicians working on a wall panel near the main power core. They were installing something that didn't look like regular station equipment. Bailey stayed hidden, watching carefully. One technician pulled out a device with Earth markings on it. Human technology. Bailey's military training instantly recognized what was happening. They were planning to make it look like humans had sabotaged the station. He slipped away and hurried back to Captain Reich's quarters, using the service corridors to avoid being seen. "They're setting us up," he explained after waking Samantha. "The Veldari are planting Earth technology near critical systems. If there's an accident, they'll blame us and push for immediate military action." Captain Wright's face hardened. "Wake the others. Then contact Admiral Miller. I need to have a private conversation with Ambassador Zexlor." 1 hour later, Samantha stood outside Zexlor's private chambers. The Veldari guards seemed surprised to see her. "I need to speak with the ambassador," she said calmly. "It's urgent." Inside, Zexlor was reviewing final plans when Wright was shown in. His compound eyes reflected her image dozens of times. "Captain," he clicked, "the Council has not reached a decision yet. Why are you here?" "We know what you're planning," she said directly, showing no fear. "But before you continue, you should consider something important." She activated a small device showing a holographic star map of Council space. "Humans have a saying," she continued. "The cornered animal is the most dangerous." She pointed to several locations on the map. "These are the current positions of human ships. Not in our solar system, but near key Council worlds." Zexlor's mandibles clicked rapidly in shock. "Not for attack," Wright explained, "but as insurance. We came prepared for peace or war." She wasn't bluffing. Admiral Miller had dispatched scout ships weeks ago, as soon as the Council's first message arrived. They were few in number but strategically positioned. Furthermore, Wright continued, "Humans have already made alliances with several managed worlds who see us as potential liberators. If you force this conflict, you won't just be fighting Earth." The captain leaned forward. "We don't want war, Ambassador, but we're very, very good at it. Are you?" Zexlor stared at her. The Veldari had expected intimidation to work as it had with other species. The calm confidence in the human's eyes triggered something ancient and instinctual in him. The prey animal's recognition of a predator. "How did you know?" he finally asked. "About your plan. Commander Bailey saw your technicians. About your psychology." She smiled slightly. "We studied you, just as you studied us. The difference is, we understood what we were seeing." Back on Earth, Admiral Miller received Bailey's warning and Wright's update on her confrontation with Zexlor. "Prepare a statement for all Council species," he ordered Lisa. "Make it clear that Earth wants peaceful relations, but is prepared to defend itself and its allies. And make sure to mention our new allies among the managed worlds by name." Within hours, evidence of the Veldari plot was presented to the full Council. The fake human technology was removed from the station's systems and examined publicly. Several Council members who had supported the Veldari position now backed away, not wanting to be associated with such deception. Elder Kira of the Fonari spoke again. "For too long, the Veldari have manipulated Council policy through fear. Perhaps it is time for new leadership." High Chancellor Voxtol, looking deeply troubled, called for an emergency session. "The Council structure itself must be reconsidered. If we have allowed fear to guide our policies rather than wisdom, then we have failed in our purpose." As Captain Wright left the chamber, Natalie Porter joined her. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now," Samantha replied, "we help them build something better." Across the station, on ships orbiting nearby, and on dozens of managed worlds, news spread quickly. The humans had stood up to the Council, and won. 3 months passed. The Council station looked different now. The Grand Council chamber had been rebuilt, with all seats arranged in a circle rather than a hierarchy. No species sat higher than another. Captain Samantha Wright, now officially Earth's ambassador, stood before the newly formed Galactic Alliance. She wore a formal blue uniform with Earth's new symbol, a stylized planet with stars around it. On behalf of humanity, I am honored to sign the Treaty of Mutual Recognition, she said, pressing her hand to the glowing document tablet. High Chancellor Voxtol, who had kept his position after publicly apologizing for the Council's actions, pressed his scaled hand to the tablet as well. The Galactic Alliance welcomes Earth as an equal partner, he announced. May we learn from each other's strengths. The chamber erupted in applause. Representatives from over 30 worlds, including many former managed worlds, now recognized as independent, celebrated this historic moment. Even Ambassador Zexlor was present, though no longer as the Veldari's chief representative. His role in the plot against humans had cost him his position. The new Veldari ambassador, a younger female named Krezel, approached Samantha after the ceremony. My people have much to learn from yours, she said humbly. Fear kept us from seeing the truth. Back on Earth, Admiral John Miller watched the ceremony via transmission. He smiled as he looked at the reports on his desk. Earth's defensive technology had improved dramatically with the exchange of knowledge. But more importantly, Earth was helping to create defensive systems to protect developing worlds from exploitation. It worked out better than we could have hoped, Lisa Reeves said, entering his office. Because we didn't just show our teeth, Miller replied. We showed our minds and our hearts too. On the station, Dr. Alan Carter was in his element. He had established the first interspecies medical exchange, where doctors from different worlds studied the unique biology of various species. Human healing abilities evolved because of our dangerous world, he explained to a group of alien doctors. But we can help you develop treatments based on our biology that might work for your people too. Natalie Porter had taken on perhaps the most important role. Her linguistic talents had allowed her to create a cultural database to help different species understand each other better. Humans have thousands of different cultures on just one world, she told a curious Garian scientist. We learned long ago that diversity makes us stronger, not weaker. Commander Eric Bailey found himself working with security forces from former managed worlds, teaching them not conquest, but defense. The trick isn't to be the strongest, he explained to a group of trainees from 6 different species. It's to be the most adaptable. That's what humans do best. In a classroom on Tilly's homeworld, young Mirren children listened to their teacher explain recent galactic history. And so the arrival of humans changed everything, the teacher said, showing holographic images of Earth. The council tried to intimidate them, but instead met apex predators who became protectors. A small Mirren child raised her hand. Teacher, why weren't the humans afraid of the council like other species were? The teacher smiled. Because humans evolved differently. On their world, they learned to face their fears rather than run from them. And they showed us we could do the same. That evening, on the observation deck of the station, Captain Wright stood looking out at the stars. Commander Bailey joined her. Thinking about home, he asked. Thinking about the future, she replied. We came to the stars looking for neighbors, not subjects or masters. Bailey nodded, and we found both. Those who wanted to rule us, and those who needed our help. The Foneri have a saying, Samantha said. Sometimes what you fear most becomes your greatest ally. Across the vastness of space, 1,000 worlds were changing. The galaxy had tried to tame the dangerous newcomers, only to discover that humans weren't just predators. They were protectors, and that made all the difference.